very pleased to be interviewing Simon Applebaum, who is the internet radio show host of Tomorrow Will Be Televised, which is an internet radio show on the TV scene. Welcome.
Thanks, Charlene. Good to be with you.
First question. Tell us a little bit of your background. How did you get to where you are today?
Well, I've been covering television for 30 years, and I started a bit after college. I graduated from American University in Washington, D.C. in 1978. I was always interested in television. When I was in college, I was on the campus radio station WAMU, and I actually did some work also doing newscasts with WAMU-FM, which is the National Public Radio affiliate. Originally, there was a possibility of a college radio network, which I would be on as a newscaster or maybe doing some sort of public affairs hosting. Unfortunately, that never came through. Still is a great idea, by the way, to unite college radio stations into a national network, a la CBS, ABC, Mutual Radio, so forth. And then, because of my interest in following television, I was able to hook up with Watch Magazine, which was a magazine covering the future of TV. It was a monthly magazine, and it was in 1980. Started January 2nd, right after New Year's Day. Watch ran for a year and a half. I started as a freelance writer, became an assistant editor, and at the same time, and then when Watch folded a year and a half later, luckily they were the same publishers behind Cablevision magazine, which was a trade magazine for that industry. So I was moved over to there, and that's how my career got started. And for the most part, it's been writing for trade magazines, and then in the last 2 years, doing this internet show.
You've seen the media landscape change in your 30 years. What would you say has been the most dramatic change from your perspective?
The way cable television has become a force in American media. When I started, ABC, CBS, NBC had 90% of the television viewing. And national cable networks like ESPN, CNN were just getting started. There was, of course, Home Box Office, and there was Showtime and other pay networks. But to see 30 years later that ABC, CBS, and NBC would go from 90% plus of the television viewing to less than a third of the television viewing on any given night is really shocking. And a lot of that is due to, A, the quality of cable television, the quality of cable networks, the variety of cable networks that have come on the air since 1980. Second, the fact that the broadcast networks, or the companies that own broadcast networks, were very slow to buy cable services and to see the threat coming. And third, see a lot of other things that have sprung out of cable. Video on demand, the digital video recorder, high-definition programming, now the possibility of interactive television, 3D television, all of these different mediums coming out of what started as the first alternative to broadcast. And at the same time, broadcast network television and broadcast stations are having the biggest crisis they've ever had in their lives. We're seeing it in what's going on with the Jay Leno show on NBC. We're seeing it with local advertising on broadcast stations on the really going off a cliff, partly because of the recession. And it's very unclear whether we are going to have broadcast television as we know it, even in the next year or two.
Simon, what are you working on now?
Well, for the last 2 years, I've been doing an internet radio show. It's called Tomorrow Will Be Televised. It's on blogtalkradio.com. It's a website that presents all sorts of audio programming, everything from politics shows, live music, talk, variety, so forth. And my program is all about the world of television. We give people the opportunity to hear the folks who make television happen. The people who run TV networks, the people who run television shows, who produce them, create them, write them, direct them. The entrepreneurs who are launching the new services that will impact how we watch and use television. The people who gauge where programming is at, the TV critics, the pundits, the writers, and associated people. And these are folks who rarely get the opportunity to be on radio or television. When you watch Entertainment Tonight or Access Hollywood or E!, you may see the star of a television show, you don't see the producer, you don't see the director. We give them that forum, and we do so in a way that allows them to do more than a soundbite. When they're on our show, they're on for 20, 25 minutes. We give the public the opportunity to call in with their questions and comments, to respond to what they hear. We also serve as like an early warning system to here's what's coming up. We've been doing a lot of stories about the interactive television movement. We've done stories about the digital TV transition when that was underway over the last year or so. We've done stories on diversity. We did stuff on the Writers Guild strike and how that impacted television. In fact, we had Michael Winship, the head of the Writers Guild of America East, the day after the Directors Guild made their deal, to say, what do you think of this? Are these terms the terms that you can live with as writers? It's a lot of fun to do the show. we have gotten incredible people on the 2 years we've been on. We've had everybody from Michelle Gaines, the president of Comedy Central, to John Landgraf, the head of FX, to more recently Conrad Green, the executive producer of Dancing with the Stars. For the most part, they love doing the program. They feel they get their say, and the response I get from listeners is, keep doing the good job. You get great guests and so forth. We're now at the point where we're expanding the show. We've gone from a half hour every other week to a weekly show to a weekly hour, sometimes hour and a half. We are now doing selected Friday shows, and I hope that next year we will do both a Monday and a Friday show every week. Because there's so much to cover in television, and sometimes you feel that even a 90-minute show with 3 or 4 guests and news notes and other features is not enough to follow what goes on.